How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age comic books. I'd like to welcome everybody who's been a loyal subscriber and watches my videos, and for those of you who do watch and you haven't subscribed yet, maybe you can think about hitting that subscribe button. I like seeing how many people are actually subscribed, because I don't think everybody watching my videos is actually subscribed to my channel. Anyways, today I'm doing a patriotic superhero, and that's why I'm wearing my Captain America shirt. Now, I'll give you a little bit of hints on the origin and see if you can figure it out. So, this individual, who is blonde, is in a laboratory with a elderly doctor. He gets injected with the invulnerability formula, and he suddenly gains a measure of superpower, super speed, super strength. And then, just after he's been injected, Germans bust in, and they want to shut down the project. They shoot the doctor. They are fought off by the individual who has gotten the formula. He gets rid of the Nazis, and then the doctor or professor who injected him with the formula dies in his arms, and he knows, the soldier knows, that he needs to fight for America. Now, if you think that I was talking about Captain America, then you would be incorrect. And for those of you who were paying attention, I said invulnerability formula, not super soldier serum. That's right. The origin story for this superhero, Yankee Doodle Jones, more or less just stole his origin story from Captain America. So let's go ahead and review the origin story. Let's see. This is Yankee Doodle Jones and his partner Dandy. Yes. Yankee Doodle Dandy. They really thought hard on coming up with this one, didn't they? So let's go ahead and go over the origin story, and then we'll cover the other appearances. There was 4 total. They all appeared in Yankee Comics. So let's get this one started. Yankee Doodle Jones. Real name, Yankee Doodle Jones. First appeared in Yankee Comics number 1 in 1941. Original publisher was Chesler Comic, Harry A. Chesler. Created by Lou Fine. Now, there are 4, 5, 6, 7 appearances, apparently, of Yankee Doodle Jones. Now, he appeared in Yankee Comics number 1 through 4, and you can see the covers right here. Now, I have checked out Bullseye Comics and Dynamite Comics, where he appeared in number 11 and 8, but those were both reprints, and I did confirm that. Now, it said that he also had an appearance in Yellow Pal Comics. Now, I can't confirm this because I wasn't able to find this one. So I'm only going to be able to cover the Yankee Comics 1 through 4. So we'll go over the first appearance and then briefly go over the other ones. Now, the origin story rips off Captain America to a degree. We find out that there are these soldiers who have willingly decided to give their life for America. I guess that they've either been wounded or... we got one guy with a bandaged face, another guy's on crutches, and the third one is a guy holding a sign saying, "I'm blind." And they're all willingly giving their lives for America. So I guess the doctor takes the human tissues that are viable from these soldiers and turns them into a formula to inject Yankee Doodle Jones. Now, as Yankee Doodle, I know it sounds weird to keep saying it, but this is the only name he's given. As he's getting injected with the formula, Dandy, which is the son of the doctor, is in the corner saying, "I wish Dad would give me a formula like that." Well, just as the last drop of the formula is being injected, Nazis burst in and start shooting up the joint, and Yankee Doodle starts to fight them. Dandy goes over and picks up the syringe and injects himself with the last bit of the serum. So Dandy helps, and they beat the Nazis, they beat some of them down and knock them unconscious, and the others run away, and the doctor dies right in front of them. Later, we cut to some soldiers that just start dying. I think there was a guy in charge of an archives and a pilot in another one, and they're all dying under mysterious circumstances. So we need to find out what's going on. We cut back to Yankee Doodle and Dandy, and Dandy loves chocolate cake. At least in each issue they mention this. So they get a visit from Uncle Sam, literally Uncle Sam, and convinces them that they need to go look into what's happening. So they, I don't know how, these guys always seem to stumble onto where they need to be. It says after a frantic search, they end up at the barber shop, and Dandy decides that he wants to get his hair cut. And as they're getting their hair cut, this old person is asking for hair clippings. Dandy decides to follow the old person, and as he's peeking, he gets captured for his troubles. And then we find out, after he's taken to the hideout, that this witch person, I'm not sure is male or female, I was going with female in my head, is able to do a voodoo type formula where having the hair of the person allows them to control what's going on with them. And we see this high-ranking, I think, general start to choke. And we figure out that's how all these soldiers are dying. Just then, Yankee Doodle busts into the joint to save Dandy, and Yankee Doodle starts choking because we found out that they got hair from Yankee Doodle, which is weird because Yankee didn't get his hair cut, only Dandy did, yet somehow they have his hair. So he starts choking, and Dandy tells him to whistle. And for some reason, whistling worked. And he said, yay, it's the war crime of the Yankee Doodle. I don't even begin to understand. I don't know what he's whistling or why are they calling it a war cry. This is completely ridiculous. So they start to fight the goons, and I guess the witch, male or female, decides to get up on the rafters so they can try and hang our heroes from a noose. And the witch trips and ends up hanging him or herself. And then they beat the major Nazi guy. And then Uncle Sam thanks them for a job well done. And then there's a little moniker that says Yankee Doodle appearing in Yankee Comics. Now, that's the origin story. And I think they were trying to go with a theme. It was in the first and second issue. It was a theme that they seemed to be going for that they abandoned by the third issue. And I'll point it out, because I thought that they would do it in all four, but they didn't. So, let's briefly cover the other appearances. We'll briefly discuss the theme, because it was just a kind of, hey, there it is, and it was gone. And, yeah, let's just cover these other ones. Now, in issue number 2, we see Major Victory on the cover with Yankee and Doodle, but there's no Major Victory story in here, I've checked. So, what happens in this one is Yankee and Doodle decide that they're going to do their patriotic duty by giving blood, but on their way to go give blood, they pass by a stadium that is playing a baseball game, and they decide to indulge in the American pastime of going to see baseball. Because that's apparently something that you do when you're going to go give blood. While they're at the game, this guy who appears to be a green skull face releases these dogs, and then the people start acting wild. So Yankee and Doodle are going to help out. So Yankee starts whistling again, and Dandy says it's the Yankee Doodle war cry, and this is the last time they'll mention it. It only existed in 2 issues. So Dandy stops the dog, Yankee stops the people, they track down the green skull guy, and Dandy gets captured again. Yankee has to help him. They take down the green skull guy, who was apparently with the people that was giving blood that for some reason was reported on the news. These people were being injected with this formula to make them act crazy. They stopped the green-faced skull guy, realized it was a mask, and it was a top-ranked Nazi scientist that was affecting people's blood to cause them to go crazy, and Yankee Doodle Jones saves the day. Uncle Sam thanks them, gives Dandy a piece of chocolate cake, and they're appearing in Yankee Comics. Now, in the next issue, we don't get an Uncle Sam in this issue. We get Yankee Doodle. We see them at first with a nice little splash page, and Dandy is eating a piece of cake, chocolate cake. Yes, he loves chocolate cake. They establish this in every issue. And then we cut to the main villain, and he seems to be killing people with the Medusa head. He apparently is turning them to stone, and they immediately die. And I don't know. They don't look like they're turning to stone. And I don't know why this guy is going through the theatric of using a Medusa head, because nobody's living after the attacks. So, this guy kills another person, and then they hear a special news bulletin. Yankee Doodle hear a news bulletin about the people dying by being turned to stone. So they happen to find the right place to go where the Medusa guy is striking next, and they stop him from killing their target. And let's see, they stop him, and then they go back to their house. They take down the henchmen and apparently are followed home by the guy killing people with the Medusa head, and he tries to kill Dandy, but apparently since the window was closed, it didn't have an effect. Yankee chases down the guy, and Dandy finds out that there's a projectile being shot out of the Medusa's head, which turns people to stone, which is why I'm trying to figure out why the theatrics, because nobody's living to say, hey, a Medusa head was trying to kill me. So he didn't actually need to go through all the trouble of a fake Medusa head. They track the guy down, and Yankee Doodle finds the guy trying to get away in a sub, jumps into the sub, and starts to beat the guy up, and Dandy joins him, and then this guy says, "You'll never take me in alive. Here's this special formula that I created that creates the Medusa head and turns the people into stone." He drinks the formula to kill himself in order to be captured, and that's the end. And now we come to the final issue. We cut to our heroes, Yankee and Doodle, and this guy looking through a book, and he starts mentioning some of the allies that we had back in the war. Now, stop me if you've heard this one, but people are dying and they're not sure how. So what's happening is American test pilots are being killed over in Canada mysteriously. They're somehow being set on fire. Nobody can figure this out. So Yankee decides to go to Canada to figure this out. And of course, Dandy goes with him because, you know, it's Yankee Doodle, Jones, and Dandy. So they both head over to Canada, and they found out that they've tightened security. And while we're finding out about this old guy that we saw from the beginning is apparently creating a death book. He finds the pictures of people that is going to be his next victim. And I don't know how he gets these photos. None of this is ever addressed. He's just killing these people and then putting them in a death book. So they have the next guy in mind, and Yankee and Doodle are at the airport, and they hear this guy screaming out because, you know, he's on fire. So they go over and rescue him. Yankee puts the guy out using the sheet because, you know, you smothered the flames. And Dandy goes after the henchman, and he knocks one of the henchmen out, but gets captured by the other henchman. So Yankee gets taken back to the hideout, and somehow Yankee Doodle finds him there. They beat up all the other henchmen, but the main guy who's making the death booklet escapes. And then we see that he says, I'm going to make Yankee Doodle and Dandy my next victims for my death book. So we cut back to the house. They're back home again. And this guy somehow breaks in the house. And, well, before we break in the house, we see Dandy walking down the hallway. He baked himself a chocolate cake. And Yankee says, be careful with the chocolate cake. He says, I know what I'm doing. And then we see this guy breaks into the house and sets Yankee on fire, and Yankee crawls out. He's like, help, Dandy. And Dandy busts in and picks up a bucket of water that just happens to be sitting in the room to put out the flames. You know, that's a strictly normal thing. I'm sure all of us have a bucket of water sitting in our rooms just in case we somehow get set ablaze by some sort of Nazi madman. So Dandy puts out the flames, they knock out the guy, and then they take his fingerprints and find out that he's a high-ranking Nazi scientist. And the very last page, we see Uncle Sam talking to Yankee saying, with you two around, we know that Americans shall be safe. And then it says, Yankee Doodle appearing in Yankee Comics. And it's the last issue, no more. Now, like I said, I can't account for Hello Pal Comics, but the other two appearances are definitely repeats. It's the repeats of issue 1 and issue 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you didn't get too mad at me for making it look like a deception on the origin story. Now, there is a short story that stars Dandy, but it's Dandy working with Yankee Boy, who is not necessarily associated with Yankee Doodle Jones. Maybe if I cover Yankee Boy in the future, I'll mention the short story that Dandy is in. It's a text story, and Spider-Man fell down. But that's just a text story, so if I cover Yankee Boy, I'll mention that. I'll mention the text story then. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.